sorry. We're slightly over Indonesia, which is at 16 times. So I think it's kind of fair, a bit high compared to average, but still fair. As for the net foreign flows, this is the net foreign flows for the past 3 years. But if you would focus to the right side, where 2021 is, our net foreign trade for the full year was 3.4 million. But if you exclude the big foreign buying blocks on AP, ASEN, and RCB, the net foreign trade for the year would be net foreign selling of 89 billion. So let's go with the best and worst performers. Before we start, if you would look to the lower right side of your screen, we have a PSE recomposition this year. In August, ASEN and Converge were added to the index to replace DMC and Emperador. And then in October, there was an unscheduled recomposition of the index. FGen was removed because it fell below the 15% public float requirement, and it was replaced by Wilcon. So on the index, the top performer was Converge with a 114% gain for the year, followed by Wilcon, also another index newcomer with 80% gain. And then we have Globe ICT and another index newcomer, ASEN, with 36%. And then going down the line, our biggest losers were JG Summit, which was significantly affected by the pandemic, especially with their subsidiary Cebu Pacific. And then LTG, which was kind of dragged down by the sentiment on PAL and the filing of the bankruptcy. And then you have MEG, Bloom, URC, SMPH. Those are our top losers on the index. If we include the non-index, the biggest gainer would be Ever, which throughout most of the year was subject to speculation of a backdoor listing. I believe recently it was taken over by Antonio Chu of Greenergy and Annie. And then followed by ASEX, a subsidiary of ASEN. And then GMA on the biggest losers. At the bottom, you have SGP and Keeper, although that's distorted because they did the follow-on, which was significantly lower than their last traded price. So later on, we will talk about that. And then next is PHR, the casino arm of Dennis Uy. And then you have Now, and then Chelsea, another Dennis Uy company. And then Nihao, MRC, ATN, DFNN, and wrapping up the biggest losers on the non-index side is Dito. For the top traded stocks for the year, you have the most top traded stock of the year was ASEN, followed by Ali, Oboitis Power, Monde, SM, Converge, and so on. So out of the 318 securities that were traded this year, 20 accounted for 61.7% of the total value turnover. So that's all the enumerated stocks on the pie chart on the left. So out of these 20, only 4 were non-index stocks: Monde, which is the 4th top traded, Dito, APL, and PHA. Okay, I'll give you a moment to look at the chart before moving on to the next slide. Okay, so on the IPO side, I'm sorry to everyone, this might relive old traumas. So on the common shares, the first IPO of the year was Monde. It ended the year with gains of 20%. And then it was followed by All Day with 1.7%. And then the worst IPO of the year was Medic with 43.9% losses. And then at the last part of the year was the best IPO of the year, Solar Philippines Nueva Ecija, which gained 28% from its IPO price. Oops. On the REIT side, We have the second worst IPO of the year, which was DDMPR with losses of 20.4%. Then we have PhilREIT with 5.7% and RCR with 18%. And lastly, we have the best performing REIT of the year was MREIT or Mega World REIT with gains of 22.4%. On the preferred share side, we had several preferred shares listing this year. We have 8990B or House Preferred Series B. And then we have the first forage of Jollibee in the preferred share market with JFCPA and JFCPB. Then we have another Mega World Series 4. And then the first A Brown Preferreds. And then we have the Series D of Alco and the Series 2C and 2D of Tech, Surtech. And lastly, we have the EEI Preferreds Series A and B. So EEI Preferred B was the best performing preferred share of the year. We had 7.5% gain. So that's roughly around the estimated annual yield for its dividends. And JFCPB was the worst performing preferred, which only gained 0.3%. As for the follow-on and stock rights offers, for the follow-on offers, our best performing follow-on was ASEN, a 10.3 billion offer at 650. So that's a gain. As of the closing of ASEN in 2021, that's a gain of 69.2%. And then you have the Apollo Global follow-on offer, which was offered at 0.08. It also ended at 0.08 in 2021. And then the next follow-on offer was SGP at 12 pesos. It ended the year with a gain of 9.3% from the follow-on offer price. And then Keeper with at 150, which ended down by 12% from 150. On the stock rights offer side, we had the ASEN stock rights offer. It was 2.37 per share with a entitlement ratio of 1:1.11. So that would return you 364.1% as of the closing of ASEN in 2021. Then we have the Cebu preferred stock rights. This was a unique stock right offer in the sense that the offer was not a common share, just like the one that you have to hold to avail of the stock rights offer. Instead, they offered a convertible preferred. This would have returned you 17.9%. And then we had the Surtech Holdings stock rights offer at 550, which lost 31.5%. But on the other side, it came with a free warrant, which is at the same ratio. And then we have the worst performing stock rights offer of the year, which is FES or Phil Estate. It was offered at 1 peso and it lost 49% from that price. Okay, so this is a bit long, but I would just like to run down the major mergers and acquisitions of the year. In January, MAP 2000 Development Corporation acquired BSC, 67% of it for 2.8 billion. And then ASEN acquired the special purpose vehicle from Solar Philippines Central Luzon Corporation. This was kind of a small thing, but I believe this is in preparation for a possible joint venture with Solar Philippines. In February, ASEN acquired 45% of Greencore Power Solutions for 2.25 million. And Cebu Holdings was merged with Ali in exchange for 0.19 Ali share for every 1 Cebu Holdings share. So following that, Cebu Holdings was delisted. In March, Web acquired 16 e-bingo companies and 2 e-bingo machine suppliers for 730 million. And then Vivant, through its subsidiary Vivant Energy, acquired 90% of Bukidnon Power Corp for 205 million pesos. And also 90% of North Bukidnon Power Corp for 223 million and 34.85% of Boskowitz Finance, which is a renewable energy company, for 364 million. FINMA also acquired 65% of Union College of Laguna Incorporated for 88 million pesos. And then in June, ICTSI acquired 100% of Manila Harbor from Prime Strategic Holdings, which is its affiliate. Which reminds me, I'm removing here additional investments in subsidiaries, but I'm including trades with deals made with affiliates like this one. Moving on, Converge acquired 60% of Asian Netcom Philippines for $2.66 million and 40% of Digital Crossing for $4.8 million, both from Digital Telecommunications. And then we have the first big deal of the year. Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corp acquired 5% of RCB for 4.48 billion pesos. Okay, the second half of the year was busier. In September, Eagle acquired 100% of Solid North Mineral Corporations from its affiliate Far East Holdings. Apollo Global acquired 49% of Poet Blue Ocean Offshore Services, which is the owner of the dredging ships that it's using up in Cagayan. And then we have the second big deal of the year. Jera Asia of Japan acquired 25% of AP from AEV for $1.46 billion. In October, KKR Investment Funds acquired 7.3% of FGen for $8.68 billion through a voluntary tender offer. So this was the reason why FGen fell below the 15% public float requirement for inclusion in the index, resulting in the removal from the index and the addition of Wilcon. And in November, ASEN acquired 32% of Northwind Power from its minority shareholders in exchange for ASEN shares worth 1.09 billion. They also acquired 51% of UPCAC Renewables Australia from their joint venture partner in exchange for ASEN shares worth $243 million. The parent company of ASEN, Ayala Corp, through AC Logistics, acquired 60% of Air 21 for 6.06 billion. And then PHA acquired 33% of SquidPay Technologies, which is long expected, but kind of a disappointment. We expected PHA to acquire a majority in SquidPay, but they ended up acquiring only 33%. So this is technically not a backdoor listing of SquidPay yet. On the other hand, Mary Mart acquired 75% of Carlos Drugs Lucena. This is in line with MM's push to complement its supermarket business with pharmaceutical sales. And then lastly, URC acquired 100% of Crunchy Food, which is a snack food producer in Malaysia, from CVC Capital Partners for 22.9 billion pesos. And in the last month of the year, Basic Energy acquired 60% of Phil Oil Energy Company for 3 billion. And then we have the last big deal of the year. Aran Investment acquired 17.5% of ASEN for $9.33 billion. Pesos. And then lastly, AC acquired 20% of two companies in Myanmar, 20% of Yoma Strategic and 20% of First Myanmar Investment. So that's in exchange for shares and for a convertible loan worth $82.5 million. Oh, that's kind of quick. Okay, so after all is said and done, we award the first AB Capital Stock of the Year award for 2021. First, some honorable mentions. This is for the index. So we would like to do an honorable mention for Converge ICT Solutions for surpassing all expectations. When Converge listed, not everybody believed that they can take on Globe and PLDT, but now they are growing rapidly, and you saw the returns for Converge last year, so they really outperformed. So kudos to Converge, and also to Globe. which had a really good year, especially thanks to their subsidiary Mint, which is the owner of Gcash. So Globe is also one of the top gainers in the index. So that earns them an honorable mention. And I think it will not come as a surprise to everyone that the stock of the year for the index is AC Energy. So kulang na lang that I dedicated the whole mergers and acquisitions portion to ASEN. They appeared several times in that slide. Also, they delivered when it comes to earnings. They managed to pay out some modest dividends for the first time. And I think the people at ASEN are really working on delivering and adding value to their for their shareholders. So good job to ASEN. On the non-index side, we also have the stock of the year, but first some honorable mentions. Firstly is for Mondenissen, the largest IPO in history. And I assume, well, it's kind of a sure thing by now that Monde will be added to the index sometime next year, either in March or in October. So that earns it an honorable mention. And it's also the first in recent history, in recent memory, the biggest global company to list on the PSE. And the next would be Ayala Land Logistics Holdings, or All HC. So this company is really starting to appear on the radar now. They're delivering good earnings. They have a good story backing them. So good job also to All HC. And lastly, our stock of the year for the non-index category. Drum roll, please. We'll like to give it to our Kapusos in GMA 7. It's been a bad year for ABS-CBN, but a really good year for GMA 7. They had stellar performance in terms of earnings, really good dividends, and really good stock return. So that's it for our stock of the year. And again, I would like to repeat that on Monday, our chairman, Mr. Anton Periquet, will be doing a stock market outlook for 2022. So if you have any questions about 2022, please save it for Monday. Although I would probably entertain some questions as long as it doesn't look too far ahead in 2022. So we don't spoil it for our speaker on Monday. Okay, so that's all. Our very quick recap of 2021. If you have any questions, please feel free to type it in the chat box and we will be answering questions.
Thanks, Ian, for the very concise presentation for 2021. So I hope some people got into the good stocks like from ASEN, Monde, and so on. And sorry for those people who got into the top losers for 2021. But let us leave 2021 and let's go into 2022. But as Ian said, we will be seeing what to look forward to 2022 next year. So if you have any questions, we can actually start answering questions, but we can also share our platform and show you the charts of our honorable mentions and top stocks for the year. So can I share those, Ian?
Okay, are you going to be sharing?
Yes.
Okay, sige.
Or will you share our presentation?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Can you see my screen on our website?
I'm sharing. Okay, stop sharing now. You can do it.
Yes. So if you're not yet a client of AB Capital, this is our website at securities.abcapitalonline.com. If you want to check, you can check, open a free 7-day trial with us, and you can check about our platform. Today, we'll check our AB Capital Advantage platform. Let me just log in. And this is our platform for AB Capital Advantage. Currently, we have the Figaro IPO as seen as the announcement. As you can see, the bid and ask board is here. It's real time, so you can see it moving during the market. You can also see all the stock, more about the stocks in the stock info, and you have the full depth, meaning you can see all the orders of the stock. So just a plug in on those things. You can also see here in the trade tab that we also do conditional orders. So as we showed in the presentation or the video a while ago, that you can do conditional orders, you can buy on breakout or sell on your cut loss price. So if you're not always in the market, this is very convenient for you guys. So if you have any conditional orders, it will go in here. Or if you want to make an order, just click on limit, stop limit, enter the trigger price, the limit price, and you will be making a conditional order. So enough on that one. Let's go to the charts. So the charts, if you want a better view of the charts, you can click on the trading view. Let me reshare. Can you see, Ian, the trading view?
No, we're still stuck at the AB Capital Advantage. Yeah, I think you have to share the other window.
There.
There, I can see it.
Okay, so this is the trading view of AB Capital Securities Inc. So what's nice about our trading platform is you can save your charts as well. So like as of the moment, I have saved charts here. Like you can go to AB Cap and you have your former drawings. It's always saved. So if you want to keep on going back, you can do so. And we also have 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute charts as well, and 15 minutes, and they're real time. So you can check out our charting tools here. So let's go to the stocks that are the winners for 2021. So what's our first one, Ian, that you
Really,
like to check out?
It's expected, no? When I'm involved in the webinar, we have to do charts.
Yes, you're a technician in the office.
Why don't you go ahead and show them ASEN?
ASEN, okay.
I'm sure everybody would be asking because of the massive drop in ASEN. And we might get some reactions. They just gave it the stock of the year for 2021 and it dropped.
Yes, this week.
Just to expound further on ASEN, it's been performing well earnings-wise, and you can see them snapping up companies left and right. But despite that, the valuation for ASEN is still a bit high. I think at this point, sometime in December, it was trading at around 42 times PE. But even at that price, when it was at around 11 pesos, 10.50, several reputable brokers are still coming out with buy recommendations targeting 14, 15, 16, which would be around 45 to 48 times PE. That's kind of hard to justify. And even the market is seeing that it's a bit, the valuations are a bit rich at this point. So that's probably a trigger for that downtrend right there that you can see at the end of the year. And then
at the start
earlier
of
this
the year,
at the at the start of the year, so ASEN just came out with the disclosure that they will transfer their thermal assets to ASEX, their subsidiary. So this move is expected because ASEN aims to be a pure renewable energy company. So what they're doing is they're unloading their coal power plants to ASEX so they can properly say that they are renewable. So that's a good move. That's a good strategic move for ASEN. It's good for the image of the company. They can hide their non-clean energy under their subsidiary. But the problem is that will take away some power generation assets from ASEN. So that's probably the result of the reason for the drop here. Now, the good thing is, I wish I could draw, hindi pala.
What can I draw? Yes,
do you mind drawing a trend line from here, from this low in what's that? January, I think, yung low dito. Yeah, this is a bad idea. I should have been the one sharing. But yeah,
This
draw that
one,
from that low in January 2021.
oh, 21.
You should
Already
be
in
able to connect
2022.
that with those drops there. Um, but in any case, when you draw a trend line from there, when you draw a diagonal trend line from that low in January all the way until you go to around August, I think that will extend to around this price, this closing price of 933. And that will also coincide with the 200-day MA at around 936, if I recall correctly. So what I'm saying is that the closing of ASEN today at 933 is also it's already at a major support area. So I don't think it's going to go lower than that on the short term unless there's some really ayan, change it to 200-day MA, please.
Yes.
And see, it's almost there. It's there, I think. Yep, it's almost exactly at the 200-day MA. So far, that moving average has provided a strong support for ASEN, and it also coincides with the trend line channel with the trend line support. So that makes it a double strong support. So that's, I think, not to give a buy or sell recommendation, but if that price level holds, I think that would be a good entry point.
Yes, and to add, there's also the RSI. It's also
Yep.
hit the RSI 30. So it's
RSI is at rock
also,
bottom.
yeah, oversold levels as well.
So for
But
those of you who are still holding on to ASEN, for the long term, as long as we hold above these levels, we're fine. And for those of you who sold ASEN at the top, this might be a good idea for you to buy back.
well, wait a minute, Ian. We're doing the 2021. So
Oo nga
let's
pala, feeling
show
ko it's
them.
still technical.
So let's show them what happened on 2021, which is from here to here.
Yep. So it's a very good
2022.
looking uptrend right there for ASEN. It's
Yes,
an
as you
uptrend
can
that's
see,
supported
yeah.
by good volume, supported by good fundamentals, and also good coverage from the brokers. So which ended the year for ASEN with very high valuations of 42 times PE, which I think is okay lang. I mean, it's justified. We're kind of used to Ayala companies trading at a premium anyway, but the premium was apparently too high, so now it has to correct, which is how the stock market works. It goes up and it goes down. But
As
yes, for the year of 2021, ASEN was one of the best performers, and thus earning it the stock of the year for the index. So there.
yes. Has anyone traded ASEN? If you traded, if you want to type yes in the comment section, ASEN number one
Yes, Team
for
ASEN.
2021. So there were a lot of points to buy actually for ASEN.
That's my favorite kind of chart. There's plenty of
Yeah.
corrections to give you opportunities to buy, and plenty of parabolic ups to let you sell.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's been a
But-
very profitable year for some traders here in ASEN. Ayan, there. That's if you would just extend that, Marga, that would coincide with today's closing.
There we go.
Diba? Perfect.
Yes.
Is it just me or is the chat box quiet? Is nobody asking questions? You can ask questions, guys, for 2021.
Yes. Or comment ASEN if you
Or comment
got
ASEN for Team
ASEN.
ASEN.
Yeah. The next stock in our honorable mention was Converge.
Yep.
Let's check that out.
Converge, the best performing index stock of 2021, 116% gains.
Let me check.
Congratulations to everyone who has Converge. Actually, that 116% was a bit lower than the actual high for the year. It went up to as much as 44 when it was added to the index. So that only goes to show what can happen to a stock's price when it's added to the index. So we have good performances from ASEN and Converge.
Yeah.
How many percent is that? 118. Ridiculous.
So congrats to the people who were able to invest in Converge. And let's backtrack on the chart. It actually started just in around October of
Yes, you actually have a
2020.
decent support going on there. If you draw a line from what's that? From sometime in June, where you put that mark,
Mhm.
you can draw a trend line up to the end of 2021, and that would provide a good support for Converge. See that one. So again, we're at support also for Converge now.
A lot of if you just held on to the IPO, you have already gotten 118%.
I know someone
There's a lot.
lucky who held on from IPO, still not selling.
Congratulations to that person. And there was a lot of actually buy signals when it was going up. When
Yes,
it broke
plenty of
out.
buy signals.
Yes.
Plenty of sell signals in the middle of
Here as
2021
well.
also.
It reached there when it was added to the IPO.
To the index.
To the index.
Yeah, but you noticed that whole time where it was on that steep uptrend, it was staying at way above 70 RSI. That's a very unusual situation for the RSI to stay above 70.
There were some traders who liked that above 70. And
yeah.
So depends on what kind of trader you are. You could have gotten in as a position trader, as a what other traders are there, Ian?
Position
Breakout
trader,
traders,
range traders. You're throwing back to my technical analysis seminar last time.
Yes. So if you want to check that out, you can check our YouTube page and watch again the presentation of Ian on the different kinds of traders. And
Or
also,
can wait
if
for
you
the
watch,
next one.
yes,
When's the next one ba?
we will schedule that one as well.
All right.
Next one, stock was Globe.
Okay, so that's a Globe was actually kind of sleepy throughout most of 2021. It just popped sometime in August. Well, the catalyst for that was when Mint, the parent of Gcash, reached unicorn status, which means they raised a hell of a lot of money from private funding and from venture capital. So that actually gives you a way to evaluate a private subsidiary, because there's no way for you to evaluate Gcash because they're not disclosing their financials or anything. So you're basing it off how much people are willing to invest privately in Gcash, or sorry, Mint, the parent of Gcash. So that latest fundraising valued it at gave it a very high valuation, which, considering that the parent is Globe, that kind of got the market thinking, well, if Gcash is worth this much, Globe should be worth so much more. So that's really the catalyst for why it went up. And you can see that after that initial big gain sometime in September, late August, early September, Globe has been on a persistent uptrend, and it looks like it's still not done. So, maybe we can see some more gains for Globe this year. So especially with demand for digital connectivity still remaining strong, Gcash is literally everywhere.
Yes, that's true. Especially, I bet everyone when they started in the pandemic, everyone just downloaded Gcash and
I
used it
didn't have Gcash until maybe
the
early
pandemic.
2021.
Yeah.
But
People were exchanging cash through
even the
Gcash.
Papasko and back in Christmas was done through Gcash. So it's a very ubiquitous service. It's everywhere now.
It just highlighted how fast digital became during the pandemic time, and Gcash was the winner during the pandemic for
Yes,
everyone.
yes. Although PayMaya is trying to do its best to catch up now.
Yes, and you can
According to
see
their
that
ads,
with
it's too good to be number two.
and you can see that in the price of Tel as well.
Yeah. If you would, yeah, sige nga, Marga, can you pull up Tel? It's actually doing well also. Not as good as Globe because, but there,
But good gains as well.
really good gains on Tel also. If you would notice that the top gainers, both for the index and non-index, are concentrated in mainly two sectors. You have the telcos, which is Globe, PLDT, and Converge. The outlier would be Dito Telecommunications, which is the one of the top losers. But the big telcos are really delivering gains in 2021. And another exciting sector would be power. So if you recall the mergers and acquisitions part of my presentation, you have big deals happening in AP, FGen. You also have ASEN. And I guess the next most exciting sector for 2021 would have been banking. You have that investment of Sumitomo in RCB, and good stuff from power, telco, and banking.
Those are the sectors for 2021.
Yeah,
Let's see.
those were the hot sectors.
Yeah. What will be the sectors for 2022?
Although late in December, there was a pop in mining stocks because of the lift on open pit mining, lifting of the suspension.
Yes.
So yeah, that might be something that would persist maybe in the first months or so of 2022. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I shouldn't be
Yes.
talking about 2022.
Let's stick to 2021
Okay.
first.
Sorry.
It's okay. Excited, Sian.
Oh my.
For 2022. That's a
You know how
positive
everyone is in January,
outlook for
diba?
2022. Yes.
In January, you're always excited about the coming year.
Mhm.
You would probably get tired of it sometime around March.
Hopefully not. Just started.
Yeah.
Year just started.
Okay, so non-index, GMA7.
GMA7 and GMAP
Yeah,
for the foreigners
GMAP.
here. Yes.
Okay, so 2021 was a really great year for GMA7. So ABS-CBN's loss was GMA7's gain. You see that?
Yes,
I think that's an all-time high. It
from the
didn't
weekly,
reach that.
yes.
Yep. Okay. I remember when it went up to 10 pesos back in 2010. They said Ramon Ang was going to buy GMA7. It didn't happen. But this time, GMA7 is really delivering gains on its own without any speculation of acquisition or anything. Just really spectacular earnings, good dividends. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
that was the
basically a
all-time
monopoly
high.
now for free TV.
So this was the all-time high
Yeah,
when it
that's
broke out. Yeah.
that one. Sometime in October.
So let's zoom in on 2021.
So GMA is expected to make even more money because election is coming and they're basically the only free TV station on air right now. So they have a monopoly on on political ads during the election period. So that would be the main story for GMA7 in 2021. It's kind of hard to chart something so steep. As they always say in my technical analysis seminar, the steeper the climb, the less predictable it becomes.
The other thing
So
to look forward to GMA is the dividends, right? It will
yeah,
be the
probably
dividends
good dividends
season will be
again.
coming up. Yes.
They would Historically, they declare sometime in April or May. Although this year they gave it twice because they made so much money.
Yes, and that's why the stock went up.
Hmm. And then honorable mentions, Monde. It's a personal favorite. I'm so sorry, everyone. If you've been to any of my webinars, Monde is always mentioned.
For 2021, yes.
Yeah, okay. Monde's chart does not look so hot, but you know, it's still a good uptrend from the IPO.
Which was
Currently it's moving
only
in a,
last year as well.
yeah, last year lang. It was the first IPO of the year. Um, but given precedent, the precedent set by Converge, Converge was listed less than a year before it became part of the index. And Monde, when it listed, immediately satisfied all the requirements for index inclusion. So it's really just it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it will be included in the index. I think it's more likely to be March, but let's see, let's see. As you can see from, as you would remember from the top traded for the year, Monde was number 4. So that's one of the requirements for being included in the index. You have to be among the top traded stocks. And then in terms of market cap, in terms of public float, it meets all the requirements for index inclusion. So I'm not trying to hype Monde here. I'm just trying to explain why it delivered such good gains in 2021 and why it was given the honorable mention in our stock of the year for the non-index category. 20%? Tama ba?
50% from the index to
From the
the
IPO?
highest point. Yes.
Okay. From the high up to the highest. Kasi
Highest point.
yeah,
At 20.
when I did the presentation, I pegged it at the year end. So
Yeah.
for the year end it's 20%, but it's 50% gain to the peak. Yeah, it's around 20%. I'm pretty sure about that because I used Bloomberg to get that.
Yes.
I didn't compute it manually. I derived the data. Okay, next is the honorable mention for non-index category, all HC. Oh,
All
by the way,
H.
sorry, before you move on, Monde is also close to support if you look at that support line at the bottom. So yeah, sige, let's move on to all HC. But everyone can see that it's at a very low price now. Okay, all HC is one of the top performers in the non-index. It's not, I mean, I wouldn't want to do an honorable mention forever or some shell
Or
company.
ASEX as well.
ASEX is okay. I mean, ASEX would have something going for it this year because of the transfer of assets. Before it was almost a shell company, but now it will have actual operations. So good for ASEX. But for all HC, the main story here, the main business of the company is warehousing. They have cold storage facilities also. They recently acquired it in 2021. And they also operate industrial parks in Laguna, Batangas, Cavite, and Laguindingan. So if you're looking for something that would be tied to manufacturing, all HC would be a good bet. But at the same time, it's also playing on one of the hottest sectors, at least in global, not here in the Philippines, but logistics is really a big sector to be in right now. And I'm sure everybody here has been on Lazada. Everybody knows that you would have to go through the logistics hubs. You have the warehousing component of e-commerce. So that would definitely benefit all HC. And this thing with the e-commerce, we see it persisting despite even if the pandemic ends. I mean, we're all hooked on Lazada and Shopee.
Yes.
We're not gonna stop shopping online just because the pandemic is over and you can go to the mall. So it was a convenience that was introduced to us by the pandemic, which I believe we will all hang on to even after all this is over. So that's a big plus for all HC.
Those are our new normal.
Yeah, it's a new normal. I hate
The
using that term, but you know,
yeah,
but
for
yeah,
these
it's the new
things, yeah.
normal. It was overused in 2020, that phrase new normal. But let's go for yeah. I think that describes what's going to happen in 2022. I'm getting ahead of myself again, aren't I?
So let's see if
uh
you like got
uh Jovis Jose Vistan said to me, all HC, my favorite.
so
Our
if
head of
you
research is
got
in love with Ayala Land Logistics. Favorite stock. If my favorite stock is Monday, his favorite is Ayala Land Logistics.
the lowest of all HC of
Yeah, from the low
on
to the high, it delivered
2021.
152% gains. Almost as
Yes.
good as Converge. How much ba yung Converge? 150 plus din yun, no?
Converge 118.
118. Oh,
Yes.
see, that's the good thing about
Oh,
AB Capital Advantage charts. You don't have to, if you go back to the
164. Sorry,
164.
164.
Yeah,
If it
almost as
was,
good.
yeah, big gains you can have. Um, all HC.
You know, when you go back
So
to the chart, your drawing is still there.
yes, and you just have to click here and your drawings are still saved when you log in again to AB Capital.
Will that happen even if you log in on another computer? As long as
Yes,
you're using your account?
yes.
Okay, that's
As
cool.
long as you use your login details.
Good, good.
So those are honorable mentions. If you want to check out the chart for us to check to backtrack those stocks, you can type it in the chat or in the comment section. We still have time if you want to check those out. If you want to ask Ian, where's the best place to buy the stock last year or sell the stock last year? So we got into 2022 with more knowledge for the
Yes.
stock market. Yes.
I
Any
mean,
comments?
really the best way to learn how to face the future is to learn from your past, right? Words
Yes,
of
that's
wisdom from
true.
Ian Garcia. So
When you
guys,
can,
feel free to ask questions on the chat box. And thank you for joining us today. I hope it wasn't too fast. I tried to squeeze everything into 30 minutes so we have time for Q&A and demo and everything. But I believe we will be sending out the presentation. Is that right, Marga, to the attendees?
to those
Or will
who
it be
place
available
feedback,
online? Ah, okay, okay.
uh, yes, because we know who attended if you sent a feedback. So the
Yes.
feedback is in the chat. Any questions, guys, on a chart that you want like to check out?
There was a direct message to me, question. What do you think will be the best sector to invest in for 2022? Should I answer it or should I let Mr. Periquet answer it on Monday?
On Monday, yes, yes. Let's attend on Monday, and Sir Anton will answer questions about 2022.
But yeah, as I
Any
said, sige,
questions for 2021?
I guess since I can't stop myself anyway, I'll probably just answer this question personally. Personally, so this would not reflect what would be discussed on Monday. But personally, one of the most exciting sectors for me would be power for 2022, because in the latter part of 2021, we're starting to see some shortages in power supply. So there's really a lot going on in the power sector right now, and it's going to be one of the most exciting sectors in 2022. Banking, I believe, is about to make a comeback, but yeah, it might take some time for us to see a really strong performance from banking, but banking is going to be good for this year. And also consumer and retail sectors. That's also something that we're looking at. Another question, do you think that it's over for ASEN? If not, where do we start positioning technically? Oh yeah, as I discussed earlier, the closing of ASEN today, which is at 9:33, is literally at the convergence of two support levels. So I think this is a great entry point, although a caveat for everyone who's looking to buy ASEN, this would be a long hold because you would be buying at fairly rich valuations. We're trading at around 38 times PE, I think. So that's kind of rich. So you've got to be looking at a 3-5 year time frame for the valuations to be reasonable. So I think maybe if you're looking at 3-5 year time frame, that would translate to a more reasonable PE. And if you're looking to hold on to it until they reach their aim of being Southeast Asia's largest renewable energy listed company, then go for it. I believe this is a good entry point. It's as good as any. Uh, and then another question, among the dividend plays, which dividend stock would you recommend that have limited downside? Hands down, it would be, I would have to play safe. That would be the most defensive sectors, telcos and power. So that would be Globe, PLDT, and Meralco. Historically, they give excellent dividends, very stable, very not a lot of changes in their dividend policy. And for if that's for a long term, right? If you're looking to hold for 5 to 10 years, just dividend income all the way, Globetel and Meralco would be good. But if you're looking at just 2022, I'm expecting really good dividends from GMA7 again. Maybe even better than 2021 or equally as good. So I would go for those stocks in terms of dividends. Wow. So many questions suddenly. Speaking of 2021, what happened to Pure Gold? Isn't it defensive? Why did it underperform? Okay, so Pure Gold was coming from a really high base in 2020. The earnings in 2020 was stellar because of the panic buying during the pandemic. So you're coming from a high base in 2020, and then by 20 when 2021 came around, by the middle of 2021, people are kind of tired of doing their groceries, frankly. And we actually see this in the reports of Pure Gold, where they saw foot traffic decreasing in 2021. It's not really, I shouldn't have used the word decreasing. It's more of normalizing. It's going back to 2019 levels. So that's why it underperformed in 2021. But I'm pretty sure that Pure Gold will still live up to its labeling of a defensive stock, because that's how we define defensive stocks. It's a consumer staple, so the demand is pretty constant for Pure Gold. So that would hold true for 2022 and beyond. Question from user. ASEN or AceX? Who has a better potential at this level? Okay. Let's assume that AceX is not suspended anymore. I would go for AceX because ACNXR or AceX, prior to this transfer, it didn't really have anything going for it. It just holds some contracts for oil exploration, which is not delivering anything. But now they will have a steady cash flow from the power plants transferred by ASEN. So in terms of growth potential, I would say higher growth potential for ASEX. So I would go for that. Another question, I think this is kind of a follow-up. It's kind of related. If you were to choose between ASEN, which is renewable, and SCC, Semirara, coal, where will you put your money? Okay, on a personal note, to be honest, I really don't like coal because I have this thing for the environment, but uh, coal for me is a necessary evil. We need it for now because our renewable energy is not enough to supply everything that the Philippines needs. And also, on a more global scale, coal demand in Asia, at least in Southeast Asia and in China, is still picking up. So we still have good demand for coal. So I wouldn't be able to choose between ASEN and Semirara. I think both are good in their own ways. So I would just leave that answer. I would leave it at that. I'm not biased in any way between ASEN and Semirara. Both are good. But yeah, Semirara look. Oh nga pala, I remembered. Semirara also gives good dividends as well as its parent company, DMCI. So for the person who asked question about dividends, Semirara and DMC are also good picks. Any more questions? How many more minutes, Marga?
Actually, we're just finalizing the questions and we can actually end the webinar if there's no more questions. Or if you don't want to charge anymore and so on. Because I
can
can
just-
see the chat as of the moment.
Question about share buybacks. What do you think of these buybacks? There are a lot recently. Okay, share buybacks. This is a strategy for companies to, number one, provide some support for the stock price in really bad times. But also it's the company showing confidence in itself that, oh, you don't want our stocks, we'll buy it from you. Because it's more of a investor relations thing. The company wants to send a signal to the market that, okay, we're willing to support our stock. We're confident that we won't lose money when we buy our stock. Now, the good thing about share buybacks, aside from providing price support, is that it will actually reduce the outstanding shares of the company. Because when you do a share buyback, the shares that you buy will go into treasury shares. So that won't be counted when you're trying to compute EPS, earnings per share. It's also not included in dividend distribution. So that means a bit more for everyone when companies do share buybacks. And what companies usually do is they just save the shares they got from the buyback. They just save it in their treasury until they cut a deal to maybe welcome a new strategic investor. That's where they get the shares that they sell to the investors. So yeah, that's the main purpose of the buyback, and that's what I think about it. And I think it's good. It's a good thing for companies to be supporting their own share prices. And it's not market manipulation at all. It's really more of a just
Stabilizing.
stabilizing. Yeah, that's the term I'm looking for.
Any other questions before we end the webinar, guys?
Yeah, I guess last minute.
Before we close
para 5,
the
10
books for
sakto.
2021. So if you don't have any
Thank you, Miss
questions,
Helen. Thank you for saying it was a good presentation. And
shout
thank
out
you
to Miss
everyone
Helen.
for joining. I really look forward to these webinars with you guys, whether it's technicals or just just market talk like this. It's a bright spot in my day. So thank you
Thank
for
you
always
as well,
joining us.
Ian. Yes. Thank you as well, Ian, for being our speaker. And hopefully you'll be our speaker more for 2022 as well.
Oh, Kuni said great presentation. Thank you. See, it really warms the heart when you say that.
So guys, if you have any suggestions on what webinars we can make in the future, what presentation you want to have Ian to present in the future, kindly answer our feedback form. And if you haven't registered to our next webinar, which is on Monday with our chairman, Anton Periquet, you can still register and wait for the link for Monday. So we hope to see you on Monday's webinar for the market outlook for 2022. So
Yeah,
thank you, Ian,
if you
for
think this
today.
presentation was really good, Monday is going to be even better.
We'll be looking forward for 2022 with Sir Anton. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Marga.
See you
Bye-bye.
on Monday, guys. Bye.
Bye.